Hello everybody and welcome back to False 9 Footy. So according to multiple sources, Bayern Munich have signed Luis Diaz from Liverpool for around 75 million euros or 65.5 million pounds. So if we look at this deal from the Bayern Munich perspective, it's another winger to add in your mix of wingers that you already have. So you have Olise, you have Kingsley Coman, you have Serge Gnabry, and now you add Luis Diaz into that mix. Obviously, Luis Diaz I think is also a player that can play centrally as like an attacking midfielder behind Harry Kane. But you also have, some of the other players they have too, like, Gnabry can do that, Olise too. I think that's what they're kind of going for, obviously, since unfortunately Musiala, they're going to be without Musiala for a little while because of the injury he sustained in the FIFA Club World Cup. And so Luis Diaz is just another player in that attacking, mix of players. So from a Bayern Munich perspective, 65.5 million pounds, I think it's a decent price for a player like Luis Diaz. He's been a very important part of Liverpool for the past couple of seasons. So for Bayern Munich, I think it's a pretty good deal. And now if we look at it from the Liverpool perspective, so if we look at Liverpool now, if we look at that starting 11, obviously in goal you have Alisson. On the right back you have Frimpong. Left back you have Kirkez, and you have depth for both of those positions. On the right you have Connor Bradley. On the left you have Robertson and Tsimikas. Center back, if you're looking at center backs, you got Konate, Van Dijk, you got Joe Gomez too. They might need another center back, if we're honest, but that's having three like that, it's not too bad. If we look at the midfield, the starting, two center mids, and again, the formation I think that best suits the personnel, the players they have, is a 4-2-3-1. So the two center mids are McAllister and Gravenberch. And then if you look at the front four, at attacking mid, you have Wirtz, and then at right wing, you have Salah. On the left, you're going to have Gakpo, and up front is going to be Ekitike. And Szoboszlai is going to come off the bench for Wirtz, in my opinion. So if we're looking at the squad now without Luis Diaz, and they're going to be without Darwin Núñez as well. They're going to sell Darwin Núñez, so we'll see where he goes. And so with the sale of Luis Diaz and probably Darwin Núñez, they're going to generate a lot of money. And what they do with that money will be interesting because, at the attacking positions, they don't really have too much depth. They have a Chiesa, but for me, Chiesa, I mean, he's not the player he used to be whatsoever. He's not an option in my opinion. Like if you're looking for a depth winger that Liverpool have right now, I'm not counting Chiesa. I just don't think he's good enough. So Liverpool are right now without any real depth wingers, in my opinion, with Luis Diaz moving on, and now they're going to soon be without a backup striker. Darwin Núñez is going to go. You're just going to be with Ekitike. Now, obviously, I think what's going to happen is they're going to sign Isak. I think that's what's going to happen. And so if they go 4-2-3-1, that means most probably Ekitike will be the backup to Isak. Or I know Isak can also, he's good enough with the ball. You can play him as a left winger. So, if you want to start Isak and Ekitike, you can have Isak on the left, Ekitike up front, Salah on the right, and Wirtz in the middle. And then you have Gakpo coming off the bench. So you can do something like that. But, my thing is, okay, if you sign Isak, which now I think they're going to do after selling Luis Diaz, if you sign Isak, that's great. But they're also going to need, in my opinion, a winger or two. If they sign one, great. If they sign two, that's also great. If we look on the left, so Gakpo and Salah, if you want a cheap depth player on the left or cheap depth players, options, these options can include players like, Wilfred Nanto from Leeds. He's really good. Elias Bensigir. And cheap, meaning like the transfer fee most likely not exceeding like 40 million pounds, right? So we got Nanto, we got Elias Bensigir. You've got Asane Diao from Como. And then on the right, if you're looking at players to back up Mohamed Salah, you've got maybe Amanez Akliouche from Monaco, and maybe a Mason Greenwood, but again, I don't know about that. Mason Greenwood would be a heck of a backup for Mo Salah, but even just to have in your mix of wingers, that would be, for me, a great addition. But if it's not any of those players that I mentioned, they definitely need some. Like, if you could go after an Ademola Lookman, because Lookman, he's pretty versatile. He can play on the left. He can play as a striker. He can even play on the right if you need him to. And again, he's not a cheap option. But if they want to go after like established wingers, yeah, you can go after a Lookman. You can go after a Rafael Leao. I don't know how much they're willing to spend in the window, so that's why I led with the cheaper options like a Nanto, like a Bensigir, like an Asane Diao. So we'll see what they end up doing, but they're for sure they're not done, because for me they just lack depth in the attacking positions on the wings and obviously up front. But again, I think Isak, they're going to get that deal done, in my opinion. And if they also add another center back, for me, that would only help. But yeah, Luis Diaz, he performed very well at Liverpool, and now he's off to Bayern Munich. Again, I think Bayern Munich are going to win the Bundesliga this upcoming season, so he'll definitely help them with that. But yeah,